Hot Takes or Toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen. With 30 years of serving Utah. Question of the morning. Who deserves a pardon in sports?
I guess there was a lot of pardons yesterday. 1,000 pardons or something. It's not to be political. I don't care about that stuff. It's more of who deserves a pardon in sports.
The first response was as predictable as could be. It's a response you could have gotten to that question for years.
Dick Bavetta.
Decades. Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. Well, for him individually, it's too late.
Yeah, right.
He's deceased. As I was flicking around a little last night at halftime of the football game, I came upon the Philly-Kansas City World Series.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Pete was playing first
MLB
base.
Network, I assume?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
What's on?
No,
I go through the channels.
Yep.
Depending on, I got two different satellites. So what's available? And saw that he was playing first base for the Philadelphia Phillies. I watched like three batters for KC. I think it must have been the top of the first. I'm not even sure. And he made a play, and George Brett came up and got a hit. No surprise there. It's funny that I thought Pete Rose playing first base for Philadelphia as they moved him around. Yeah, it's a tragic situation. And a lot of obviously it's of his own doing. I always felt that he should have been in with the designation,
the caveat.
Yeah, but because it doesn't say, unless I'm wrong, and I would need to research it. You know, it's been a while, but I've been in MLB clubhouses, and the idea being that you see the signs, gambling, you'll be prohibited, but does it say you will be barred from the Hall of Fame? I mean, we know you're banned from the game, but does it say you will be barred from the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Right. And then he ends up being the one player who has the most hits. Not just a middling Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean because that's the beef. Now, David says if anybody says any player besides Pete Rose, then they don't understand. And Russell says, I disagree, and I understand completely.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know,
Having
right?
arguments, debates. That's what sports is for.
Get around it with some display then that says, here are the 10 players with the most hits. There's got to be some recognition in the Hall of Fame. If the thing everyone steps to home plate to do, get a hit, this guy did it the most. It's weird to wipe out that history.
And now it doesn't matter, obviously, because he cannot stand on the podium in July and give the speech out into the audience and reflect on his life as they always. I love those types of speeches. I love the life reflection speeches. And I think I like to talk to seniors at the end of their college as they reflect on now it could be up to their 6 or 7 years. Maybe they could have put him in without an induction ceremony.
Because they didn't want to hear him talk.
Maybe just like a shotgun wedding. You blew the chance for that. So you go down to the Justice of the Peace.
Just get him a union job and a wedding coat.
And so you do that type of thing there. But it's all moot now. I mean, he's gone.
Union card would be the lyric, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Ryan says this fan page needs a pardon. I'll take it. Take whatever grace we can get. Sure. Why not?
You know, I'm immune to the criticism because it doesn't matter anymore.
There it is.
I still have a job.
Matt wants BYU football to get a pardon for the last 10 years. It's for independence. Pardon the entire independent era.
Well, it was the right thing to do at the time they did it. And then it grew a little stale. But that doesn't matter now. It's over.
It worked out the way they wanted. Here they are.
I think they probably would have wanted the Pac-12. If all things being equal.
It doesn't exist anymore anyway. So.
Well, you said the way they wanted. Yeah. It had worked out plenty good enough.
All right, we'll go with that.
They're in a great spot. They're in a great basketball league. And gosh, man, people are just flocking. They're turning down. If you're like the 10th rated recruit in the country, we don't have room for you. Sorry, we can't fit you in. And if you want to come off the bench, maybe we can give you 5, 10, 12 minutes. Yeah, we can see about that.
Kevin says Kalen Clay for dropping the ball.
Yeah.
That still happens. It seems like every year somewhere,
right,
something
but
like that
when
happens.
have you seen the other team pick it up
and run it the other way
back?
for a touchdown in a game that seemed like, ooh, this could be an upset. They're building a big lead here.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone.
That was stunning. Either hand the ball to the ref or run through the end zone.
Right.
You got two choices.
There's plenty of time to celebrate when you're out the back of the end zone.
Right.
And it's no doubt.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it doesn't happen, you see it reviewed. Oh, he almost did it.
It seems like once Clay did it, now they're attuned to it. They're aware of it. They look for it. And the referees actually were on that, all over that. Pac-12 refs got a lot of grief.
Right. But they did see that live and see it right.
Yeah, they got that call right. They didn't blow anything dead.
Brian wants the U football team this year to get a pardon.
I think they will. Yeah. I think they'll be competitive next year. I mean, we got a long way to go before we even worry about predictions with transfers because one transfer's nice, but you need 10, 15, and then the other teams will get theirs and all that stuff and, you know, what's going to happen. We really won't know until May. I think they've got, this one goes to, I think it's 2 weeks from today. The portal closes, and then they've got that one like the middle of April to the end of April, with the idea being after spring ball, you see where you fit on the depth chart. Some people may have there may be a few stragglers who have spring games after that, but not very many, because I think it's like basically like the 15th to the 29th, somewhere in there, that they have that open, and so you can see where you fit in, and so we'll have that, first couple of weeks in May. And then at that point, so basically it's like, let's get to Memorial Day and then see how everything has settled and start thinking about predictions for next year. But I think at this point, I expect them to be competitive next year. What level of competitive remains to be seen. And maybe we can just look at, oh my gosh, they were sort of like BYU in 23. They went 5-7, so they didn't have that far to go. And then BYU doubles their victory total, and maybe we can think along the lines of the Utes. They went 5-7, and they with any just semblance of offense, they win 8-9 games in a snap of a finger. And so maybe they don't have that far to go, and maybe that we'll see. There's a. Ottawaya, they had a nice, real good freshman running back. I want to say ran for like 700 yards over there at Washington State, who's in the portal. And we can see why Dampier would want to follow the coordinator. The position coach, maybe a little bit different, but the coordinator seems like an absolute no-brainer. That's why we were able to report that. I had found out about it, I think, Saturday, and then we came in on Monday and said, yeah, this is going to happen. And me, because I'm obstinate, I refuse to go on Twitter and put it out there now, because that's what everybody else does. And what everybody else does, I hate to do. But we had that story nailed down for sure.
The combination of following the position coach and the fact that this is a team that, under this head coach, historically runs the ball, and under this head coach, historically runs the ball well, and with everybody leaving and that room wide open, I mean, you can try and connect the dots there. Now, I haven't said anything about NIL money, and obviously that's a factor.
Yeah, I would move that up a little higher
But keep an eye on it. Yeah, and left it out completely, and that's a huge factor. But all the other stuff lines up. Follow your position coach. There's playing time available, and they usually run the ball and run it well. And that's got to be pretty attractive.
Yeah.
But then maybe they have somebody else, and where their NIL dollars going and who's after him, we don't know.
We'll see how that plays out. As far as that goes, I think the kid's name, Wayshawn Parker, and he was a freshman. He ran for 735 yards, 5.5 carries, 4 touchdowns. He had 137. He's the second leading rusher. The quarterback was the first leading rusher. I know a lot of people had been hoping that the quarterback would come but that seems to be out the window now. Wayshawn Parker, 200-pounder from Sacramento, where Freddie Whittingham has some roots.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Coming up at the top of the hour, David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. And we're talking football with Kevin Graham at 9 o'clock. We'll talk some trade talk with David Locke in about 15 minutes right here on The Zone. The Zone's proud to support the Mediathon at the Road Home, an annual tradition to raise money and other essential items for Utah's homeless population. Join us December 20th in raising money to support this cause. Monetary and in-kind donations collected during the annual holiday Mediathon empower the Road Home to provide shelter and supportive services for overcoming homelessness. Help us support this cause at the Road Home Mediathon on December 20th. Question of the morning, who deserves a pardon in sports? Earlier this morning we were talking about this. Pete Rose got a ton of mentions, but there were other people. This one's been around for decades. Marvin Don Denkinger. It was only Game 6. The Cardinals could have won Game 7. Gave him a base runner they didn't deserve. Cardinals, Royals. Yeah, sparked a rally and a comeback. And
George Orta was out.
I don't even remember who it was. Was it George Orta? You don't know?
I think so. Okay, we're going to pardon him because then there was Game 7. Mm-hmm. The Red Sox have pardoned Bill Buckner.
Bill Buckner.
And do the Cubs pardon Steve Bartman?
Yes.
I was about to say Bartman's got to be part
because
of this.
Buckner only got the pardon because then they turn around in a few years. Well, a good while later, they won two more.
Right.
And the Cubs have won. They won one.
They won one. I think the Red Sox won 3, didn't they? But the point is, they got the one to break the jinx.
Yeah.
And once the jinx is broken.
But did they pardon Buckner after? I thought they pardoned him after the second one. Did they pardon him after the first one?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. But I know they pardoned him.
Yeah, he came back. And I think he's deceased now, too, isn't he? Yeah, I thought something happened to him.
I trust you on the celebrity birthdays and who's with us and who's not. You're usually much better at.
What do you got?
He did die in 2019, age of 69.
How did you live without being able to look up stuff instantly?
I don't know, but it's more fun now that I can.
The weather when the Utes went to their first bowl game after having not gone. What was the weather that night?
I don't know.
Look it up.
Okay. Do you have the date of the game?
Look it up.
I don't care about that.
Sure you do.
No, not as far as you
care
know.
about whether Bill Buckner is alive or deceased.
Well, you brought it up on the air. I felt like, people in a car need closure. Who deserves a pardon in sports? Larry says any college athlete that ever got in trouble pre-NIL for improper benefits. You can't do that. Oh, it turns out everybody can. What the heck?
That's a wide range of people.
Right?
Yeah. Benefits.
Nellie says Barry Bonds needs a pardon.
But the problem with those guys is they didn't ask for one.
Barry doesn't care.
Yeah.
Joe Barry Carroll had one of the worst / best nicknames ever. Joe barely cares. But in this case, Barry Bonds, he doesn't seem to care.
But the guys who did, like Andy Pettit, acknowledged it.
Uh-huh.
And it went away.
Yeah. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's very good.
But he's the next tier below. He's an all-star. He's a name you remember 20 years later.
Yeah.
Someone says Andy Pettit, but he pitched in World Series.
Because it was a lot of Yankees. I get that.
Yeah.
But if those guys would have just said, hey, man, everybody was doing it. As I look back, I wish I hadn't done it. But even to an extent, Mark McGwire has been forgiven.
Mm-hmm. He's gotten multiple jobs in baseball. He's worked for multiple teams.
But Bonds and Clemens have been the ultimate outcasts.
Does it come down to how likable you are? There are some people who don't like Bonds and don't like Clemens.
Right, but I don't think McGwire was all that likable.
I thought he was pretty likable.
I don't know. I don't think so.
He got a little... I mean, some of it was because he was trying to hide the stuff and he got defensive about it.
That's not likable.
Yeah, you're right. That's not.
I think if those guys would have just come out and just said it, hey. And how do I know Joe Blow throwing to me wasn't using it? You know what I mean?
You don't.
It was so
people got
rampant.
away with stuff. It was rampant.
Yeah.
And obviously, when it's that rampant, everybody doesn't get caught.
Right.
No one seems mad at Brady Anderson for hitting 57 or 58 home runs, whatever it was.
Got under my skin. I've never forgiven.
Nobody talks about him. He was built like a guy who hits 15 or 20.
And
homers.
how about guys who you bring up Brady Anderson, but Luis Gonzalez puts together a couple of monster seasons in Phoenix, and he, to this day, he knows how to cash in, and everybody loves him.
Cool.
Well, what up, dude?
You had some peak years there that are hard to explain unless I use one specific explanation.
Yeah, you went nuts.
Yeah.
And became, for a short time, as good as anybody in the game. Now, obviously, you're a major leaguer. No one's doubting that.
But you evolved from a nice player into a superstar.
But the way all that stuff was handled, it was crazy. And I would say pardon all of them. But a lot of it is on you. Bonds just had an attitude of, I don't care what you think, and I'm going to just get in your face.
He did.
But he was an incredible ball player from day one.
He was an incredible.
I was at ASU when he was there. I knew guys on the team. The stuff that he did in the bigs, he was doing then as far as you do your thing and I do mine, and I show up and hit 4 home runs. So you tolerate what I do because I'm really good.
When I was at UC Santa Barbara, I heard about him. ASU came to town, watched him, and he put on a show. 4 doubles in a game, screaming line drives to every part of the ballpark. He's better than everybody else by a wide margin, and you didn't have to know much to figure it out.
I knew. I've seen him.
That batter's eye in center field, I got sent on one trip as a sports information student assistant. There was a lot going on late January, early February. So I got sent with the baseball team to Tempe, and he hit the batter's eye in center field with a home run, and it sounded like a cannon went off in the valley. It sounded like a sonic boom. It was unbelievable.
I got a game-winning hit in a summer league game at that stadium.
Nice. That was a highlight. I can't believe I went this long without hearing about it.
I sneaked a ground ball that somehow got between first and second.
47 hops?
I was way late, and it squirted through and got into right field.
Was it a walk-off, or it drove in the winning run in the 6th inning?
I don't think it was a walk-off. I think it was like the top of the inning.
Oh, you were the visitors. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... I mean, there's maybe 2 highlights, and that was one of them right there. And I knew it was a shot. It was a bullet. Thought it might have had a chance to roll to the wall, like those AstroTurf things.
Busch Stadium or the Astrodome.
Ground ball, triple, ground ball inside the Parker, never leaves the ground.
And you're Willie McGee just flying around the bases.
I prefer to think of myself as Vince Coleman.
Vince Coleman, okay.
So I would forgive all those dudes.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Huge weekend of football. Teams that are in the playoffs trying to hold off teams that aren't. Big dogs who might be meeting down the road in the playoffs. Kevin Graham's going to talk about it all. Top of the hour, right here on The Zone.